Day 3 of Snooker's Wuhan Open. There's been no morning play here in China, so this is the first frame of the day. And it is Xiao Guodong, the world number 29, who's been in 2 ranking finals and got close in various other events without quite picking up any silverware. He's going to start against Kyren Wilson, who's got the silverware. Everybody wants the World Championship trophy, of course. Neil folds alongside me. I mean, Kyren has made a point about wanting to play on the main table, and it seems when he does play on it, he performs. We've seen that already, of course, yesterday.
Yes, of course, he's earned the right to be on the match table, for sure, although a few of the others in these events also seem to be in that position. He's played well, I think, in his 2 matches this week. To beat 2 young talents, Liam Davis, and then a comfortable win yesterday against Aaron Hill. Different sort of opponent today, more experienced, Xiao Guodong. So a couple of poor shots, one on either side in this opening frame. But as you say, the head-to-head's 7-0, and they're, you know, pre-pandemic, 2019, the last of those. They're not recent matches, if that makes any difference. It's not as if they played early this season. They haven't played for a long while, 5 years, but ultimately it is still 7-0, and Xiao has never got the better of Kyren Wilson, and you know, there's a strong argument that Kyren Wilson is a better player now than he ever was, and Xiao is not a lot different over the last 5-6 years. A very good player, not one of the Chinese players you think is going to sort of burst onto the scene. He's been around a long time, that's why. Only 5 years of age, more experienced.
Just thinking, Wilson last year didn't qualify. He lost a horrible match in the UK in quite bizarre circumstances to her, Ko Chang, who got an extraordinary bit of luck right at the death. But anyway, that's all in the past.
Well, I think that's the other thing about being world champion, isn't it? You don't get embroiled in all those qualifiers because, you know, for many of these events, for instance, the international coming up, even Judd Trump had to qualify, but as world champion, Kyren Wilson will not get involved in all of that. So that helps, I think, to ensure that you don't lose in the qualifiers in front of nobody in a sort of a fairly average venue in the UK, perhaps.
Yeah, world champion gets that privilege. Certainly the case. I think what we've seen of him this season, he's enjoying that status. So, you know, not everybody takes to it, but Wilson very proud, quite rightly, of course, to be world champion, but it's been reflective in some of his performances. This is a different match, though, isn't it, to the first 2? Like you say, they're against 2 youngsters who maybe don't have quite the sort of solid game of Xiao Guodong yet.
Well, there was nothing he could leave except for the way he was playing there. The reds at the bottom of the bunch are not available to pot at this stage. So it was worth taking the double on, but where does the next red now come from? It's going to play the pot this into the top left pocket, the yellow pocket. It's quite a tricky angle. There's a cut back, and you don't want the cue ball to end up past the bolt line, so you've got to really get underneath the cue ball here. That's a good shot. And he actually might have an angle on the brown to get into the bunch of reds. It's well played. It's always very dangerous, you know. He plays to a very good standard most of the time, Kyren. I mean, clearly he doesn't always win, but he's a very consistent player. Tough shot there because he actually hit the yellow as well, so he was never going to get into the bunch, which probably suited him, given that he missed the brown. Well, it's close to being a plant. I think his left jaw, and if the two reds, I think that's the crucial point. He's coming to see if the two reds are either touching or very close to it, and that changes the whole dynamic of the shot. If the reds are touching, then it's a reverse plant, and you'll need to hit the first red quite thin on his right-hand side to make it into a plant. Played it well.
One.
Not very nicely on his colour, though. He twice shootout finalist, once when ranking 2017. I don't know what the ingredients really are for a successful shootout play. He wouldn't be the first player you'd think of. I mean, he's not a slow player or anything like that. But he has done well in that event. And it's 11 years since his ranking final in Shanghai. So, you know, that's going back a while now. Maybe he hasn't achieved what he might have hoped to over the years. Still a good player.
Well, he certainly has a very calm manner, which in the shootout he's got to be a plus. Don't really see him kind of reacting to things.
No, that's okay. That's a nice little shot. He did just glance off a red, but it didn't stop anything from happening to stop him being on the black. Kimball's just travelled agonisingly too far for I think the red he played. He would love to have been on the red that is just covering the black spot.
14.
Because then that would have cleared the black spot. Instead, the black is now, as you can see, buried on the pink spot where it doesn't go anywhere. I end up with one of these frames where a lot of the colours end up on different spots to which they're meant to be. I said once before that I have seen all 6 colours on the wrong spots, but that's very, very rare that anything like that should happen. Pink will go on the highest available now, which is, of course, the brown. Difficult looking table already, this, with regards to making it a Sizable break. The next red cue ball's going towards the reds down the middle of the table, so position's not easy from here.
Xiao Guodong.
Well, it's gone about as bad as it could go. Just to say, Wu Yize, of course, we saw in the English Open final recently, he's had a 1-3-9 first frame against Jamie Clark. And Stan Moody's also won the first against Barry Hawkins.
One. Eight. Nine.
Well, again, with the black spot unavailable, he might try and free it here. He actually wouldn't have minded staying on the pink spot, but he's going to have to disturb reds. I don't think he's moved to anything away from the black spot, however.
16.
Well, the world's loudest sneeze thankfully didn't come as he was on the shot.
No, but the thing is, I mean, I'm assuming that you'd always hold it back a little bit, so without being at the snooker, how loud would it have been then? It's one of those breaks here which is slightly complicated in the way it's going to be
17.
unfolding when the black's not on his own spot, although here you're just looking at maybe getting 40, whatever, obviously getting the frame one, but it's taking a little bit of extra thought, I think, just to work out where it's all going to go. Now he's going to possibly play on the loose red or the red on the black spot, so that changes the dynamic. The black will then
22.
be back to where it usually is placed.
So Wilson looking to plot a course in this frame. It's a very interesting session, actually. Some good matches. Ali Carter, Marco Fu. That's a match could have been played any time, really, in the last 25 years. Marco was one of the first there, with a break of 66. Sean Murphy has won the opener against Noppen Senkam. Long Zhihang the first against Jackson Page. It's noticeable last season. Wilson, I mean, his season before the Crucible was not particularly good, but he actually was scoring well. He was second only to Trump in the end for centuries last season. He made 69, Trump made 79. Just wasn't quite getting the results, but they came when you want them to come, in Sheffield.
I think it was a bit of a frustrating season, wasn't it? I don't think he'd played poorly, but as you say, he just couldn't quite get the wins. And now the black spot will become free, but the frame is going away from Xiao Guodong a little bit after that ball he missed to the right corner.
$39.
on the point of last year, I mean, at the Crucible, the semi-finalists were players who hadn't really been winning, quite honestly. Bingham, earlier in the season, couldn't buy a win. He was in the semi-finals. Jack Jones had a poor season from so well at the previous Crucible. David Gilbert appeared from nowhere again. And there was Kyren, of course. He had a frustrating season, so it shows you that you can almost tear up the form book a little bit at the Crucible these days. They were the best players over the 17 days, those four, no argument there. Anyway, this frame is about to be one red colour, and it will be.
54.
Yeah, the irony is the year before he was playing brilliantly. Going to Sheffield, he Tour Championship, got to the final there, and then John Higgins hammered him. But anyway, that's all mercifully in the past. In the present here, as you say, he's going to win the frame. Xiao Guodong had a good chance, but really set up
62.
Wilson to make this break. It wasn't straightforward, but he's manoeuvred it really well.
63.
Well, catch the jaw. It still may have dropped, but anyway, the break ends at 63, and the frame ends in the favour of the world champion, Kyren Wilson. It's best of 9 for a place in the last 16 here in Wuhan. Wilson off and running.
Well, it's a containing shot. The red a little bit close to the yellow pocket, but it's not an easy shot from that distance anyway, and the red's not over the pocket by any stretch. So if he plays it, it would be a good shot if he could knock this in. These are tough shots from cueing from where he is, as you can see. Unusual bridge with that index finger just downwards. Yeah, they're not easy shots. So he thought it was fairly risk-free, but it turns out it wasn't the case. Yes, he had to finish low on the black. That's quite a good shot there, positionally, I think. Chance to get into the bunch of reds from here.
Well, this looks a very good split for Xiao Guodong. So what a chance to really right the wrongs of the last frame where he broke down and didn't get another shot.
Nine.
Yes, it's become a good chance now from, as I say, from fairly innocuous
16.
position. It felt when the long red was missed up into the yellow pocket.
Noppen Sengon was on for a potential maximum, but he got to 73, left himself wrong on the black. He played it to the middle and missed it. But it should be 1-1. Murphy's playing on there for snookers, but looking like one apiece. Meanwhile, Xiao Guodong with the long stuff out here.
Yeah, not a lot of fun this, is it, with a long spider playing this shot. You kind of lose your range a little bit on these shots if you're not careful. The touch of it all. He looks decidedly ill at ease. Yeah, I mean, you just felt that it wasn't right. It looked an easy shot, but I can assure you it isn't. With all that equipment on there, you sometimes can't see the cue ball over the reds. And positionally, he could hardly have got it worse. So you
17.
could sense something was about to go wrong there.
Yellow ball.
Could have been a better shot, that one as well. He's really buried the cue ball onto the bolt cushion.
Well, it's 2 frames where he's had 2 good scoring chances that haven't ultimately come to much. And as you say, not put Wilson in trouble. Oh, look at that. Terrific pot from Kyren Wilson.
Very good, but it's more of a message, I think, to Xiao Guodong that when you don't have to play a safety shot, you have to ensure you get the cue ball under the cushion, because this world champion is very dangerous from long range.
Four. Five. Twelve. 13.
Well, he's created a very good chance for himself here with that opening red.
$20. 21.
Now that is, I don't think it's a very good shot. He seems to be walking around purposefully like he's on this red. So he's just about okay. Yeah. Just a little close for comfort. One thing he does do, he doesn't hang around, Wilson. You don't think of him as a very quick player, but you know, I think he's got such a grooved cue action. He doesn't spend too much time deliberating over that. Just plays his shots. His positional play is not as good as some, but he just keeps potting balls at this sort of mid-range. If he ever gets into a problem down that left side, he'd just get the rest out, knock them in. He's got a very good method, because he's world champion and his game lasted the 2.5 weeks at the Crucible. You can pay no bigger compliment to him than that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the unfamiliar lineup in the semi-finals. He was favourite going in, and that put sort of pressure on that maybe he wasn't used to, but he responded to it. Made a great start, of course, to the final, didn't he? Going 7-0 up.
3 qualifiers in there, and Kyren. Yeah, I mean, you had to win it still, and of course, the other players in there had all done very well. Bingham was showing a return to form. He'd beaten O'Sullivan. He was in the other half of the draw. Gilbert had played some good stuff, but he did feel that Kyren was likely to win it, and you know, he delivered.
51.
Delivering here as well. He's got a real sense of authority around the table here. Determined to punish that. Well, two mistakes really from Xiao Guodong. The safety he played was not very good at all. I think he played it with disappointment that the break had ended. Still a great pot from Wilson, but shouldn't have really had the chance.
Yes, he almost played on the blue there as if it was on its spot, and that can easily happen, and that's why he's now at middle range. He's very good at this range, but these will always be shots that can go wrong. There you got a side-on view of that sort of almost pump action, cue action there, the way he delivers a cue. A lot going on, a lot of movement, back and forward. He's been working on that technique for many years with Barry Stark, an elderly gentleman who coaches. He's been his coach for a long time. And they've worked well together.
So as you see, he needs this in, and Xiao needs snookers. Well, you could see it was never going in. I thought for a moment it might flick off the yellow and go in. Actually, it was quite a wide that, so this frame not done yet.
Yeah, I mean, a good frame to steal. Not sure quite whether he attempted the double there. Again, and it's not a very good safety shot, quite honestly, and Kyren is just searching for one more pot. Get through. I wouldn't call this a half chance, but if the red was to go in, it would be. That should be end of frame. Doesn't need to play on the colour necessarily here. Needs to ensure this red goes in.
Well, Xiao Guodong's got to tighten up in every area. He's just handing openings to Wilson. He's already confident. He's only lost one frame, remember, in 2 matches, Kyren Wilson, so far this week. Yeah, it's happening again. 7-0 on the head-to-head to Wilson. And it's almost like he's sort of just carrying on from previous matches. Making sure that red goes in, and that removes any doubt about who's going to win this frame.
Kyren Wilson.
So Xiao Guodong has sort of contributed to his own early downfall. There's a long way to go yet, but Wilson, as I say, looking confident. And despite missing frame ball red initially, got the chance soon after to make it 2-0. So he needs 3 more frames. He will be through to the last 16. So Xiao Guodong hoping for better things. 2-0 down to Kyren Wilson. This is not the only Wuhan Open actually taking place this week. There's a WTA women's tennis event on nearby, and Ben Wollaston, is a huge tennis fan, was there yesterday with Judd Trump. Trump actually did the coin toss before one of the matches on the court. And Wollaston may be inspired by all of that because he's 2-0 up already. Maybe we should say 2-love up against Elliot Slessy. He's had a century, Ben. He seems to be playing a lot better. He's had ill health last couple of years, but come back to a bit of form this season.
It's another good opening red, isn't it? He's quite dangerous at the moment. You know, we know what he is and all of that, but I think generally speaking, he looks in good nick with his game. I feel that his cue action is kind of longer than it was the last time I saw him play. Really getting that cue working. Might have gone too far for the red by the black, which is, it means he's going to hit the black on the way through, which is a bit unfortunate. Can't control it that well. But he has controlled it quite nicely there. Nice shot. So this is quite a one-sided match, it has to be said, where it's going. Guodong, I've noticed it a few times with him. He gets in a big match against a top player and he doesn't give the impression that he's all that confident he's going to win it. I think he's one of these players that's developed into a hard player to beat in the qualifying section, but not necessarily when he's centre stage. At the moment, Wilson is all over him here.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth remembering that his season began in not great fashion at the Shanghai Masters, lost 6-0 to Zhou Yilong. He did have a few issues off table, but of course that was all resolved on the table in Xi'an, winning that big new tournament. Set him up for all the Players Series and all those tournaments, and he's now at his highest ever ranking, number 2 in the world.
$28. $29.
Yes, he got a little nudge that I don't think he expected, that took him low on the black, so he's got to drop this in and hope to either land on a red or kiss something. Wasn't under complete control there on that shot.
36.
You can just get through the gap between the brown and yellow here for that red. That was handy.
37.
The cue ball's doing the scenic route in this break, but it still continues. And it looks like there's quite a few more to come as well.
$42. $49. 50.
Yes, he might have swung the cue ball around 2 cushions, but he's played up
57.
close to a red. It can play it left middle, or in fact, that probably is the only way you can play it, unless it goes up into the yellow pocket, which it does. It's very good, this. I mean, it's a, as I say, the sort of break it's been. It's not been a very tight control break, but what difference? You know, he keeps potting balls. Doesn't matter how you make them. Now he could get the reds open here. That was the effort he made. This time I get the feeling the break ends barring the double.
63. Kyren Wilson, 63.
Again, terrific red. More evidence that, well, certainly Kyren is potting at long range, but also that, as Dave said earlier, you know, Xiao Guodong, if he's got any hope of winning this match, he's got to keep things a little safer than he is. He's not really tightening up his game at all, and as a consequence, he's already 3-0 down.
Yeah, Kyren Wilson just looks completely focused on the job in hand, which is to get to 5 as quickly as possible and get himself through to tomorrow's last 16. The only thing holding him up here is the referee. Got to get this pink
7.
close to its own spot. Once the extra red here is 1 snooker needed, but this red should make it 3-0 for sure. Well, it's not in.
Kyren Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I've called it a 3-0 barring a snooker. It will be, although I suppose frames like this have been won before. I'm not sure whether Xiao Guodong particularly fancies it, because he'd have to take reds and high-value colours for it to remain at 1 snooker. So how do you get on the black from this is a question. So now immediately he'll need more than 1 snooker, because he's not getting on the black. I don't see it happening this frame at all, or in the match, quite frankly, from what I've seen. Well, that's at the start at least, and now he can't afford to take lower value colours now.
6.
64 the difference, so he's got to make up 5 penalty points, providing he takes blacks with these reds.
Just on another Chinese player, Wu Yizu, he's had back-to-back centuries in the match with Jamie Clark, 139, 115. So he seems to be backing up that brilliant run to the English Open final, not only to the final, but very nearly to victory against Neil Robertson. And what an exciting talent he is. Hopefully we'll see him at some point this week.
Yeah, I mean, some of the snooker he played from 7-1 down in that evening session in Brentwood was absolutely spellbinding. I mean, he had too much to do, clearly, to win, but at one point it seemed like he might come back and win that match. So it was kind of nice it ended on that note for him. You know, I think a lot of untapped potential with Huiza, that's for sure, going forward.
15.
So, all is not completely lost, it seems. He's made a good fist of this so far. Good blue with the first red. So now it's a question of, can he get the snooker? On the last red it'll be with the... He's in a good position to do so, actually.
23.
But it will need to be a very good one. And he might need to bring a free ball into the equation as well. So this is the shot which he hopes will get Kyren Wilson into a lot of trouble.
30. Xiao Guodong. 30.
Yeah, he's done well. And, it is two snookers, and Kyren will be, if he doesn't hit this, looking not to leave a free ball. I think that's the key. But also would certainly not want to hit the blue on the way through. Very good. Very good escape. That was a good shot because Pink's in a good spot now, A, for the clearance, and B, to get a cue ball in behind would be a nasty snooker if you could get it.
Wilson just needing to be vigilant here. One of those frames where you feel you should win it, but things can happen the longer it goes on. Barry Hawkins 2-1 up now and Stan Moody. Whoever wins that will play the winner of this match. And Long Jihang 3-0 up on Jackson Page. It's a long time since he beat Mark Selby in that qualifying. That was back in July, actually. Just to say, in that match, by the way, his opponent, Jackson Page, who beat Neil Robertson the other day, has not scored a point yet. In the first three frames, he has actually scored some, I think, in frame 4. But the first three frames, it was all zeros.
They may have felt he had no choice there to take on the pot. Now, what is he thinking of doing? Because he's losing another point here by playing the pink. So it's 2 snookers or 1 to tie on the pink and black, which would be a tall order if he got to that point. Doesn't really change the equation. It is 2 snookers on the colours as things stand.
Xiao Guodong, 7.
You think he can get through the gap and play it off 1 cushion this? Oh, goodness me. Wow, what a mistake.
7.
Well, that's a complete game changer.
Reball.
There was me thinking he had no real chance in this frame, and he become favourite, I think, Dave.
Well, I said things would happen, but I didn't envisage this. I mean, it could not have gone worse. It's actually almost flashbacks to last year. I mentioned the qualifier with Guo Chang, different scenario, but another frame, he looked certain to win. Match, he looked certain to win. Now, if Xiao can make the clearance here, that really does change things, because all day long it was 3-0.
Absolutely, Dave. And the black's covering the yellow to the right corner, so he's got to play down the right side to get on the yellow to the other side of the table. I think with Guodong, we're going to find out really if he fancies this match, because it looked absolutely guaranteed 3-0, and now the clearance is very much on. But you know that he absolutely has to take it from here.
4.
Looks like he will. If he can just get on the brown perfectly, there's no reason to believe he won't clear these.
Seven.
That's absolutely perfect now. He hasn't got to do anything here, just run it through. But what a frame to win this is going to be. I mean, it really come from
16.
completely nowhere.
Well, I think if you hadn't seen this, you wouldn't have believed it.
22.
So Kyren Wilson has played with great authority, but this is a real challenge to his state of mind. It should have been 3-0. What a howler from the world champion. You got to say it. And Xiao Guodong, credit to him, he stuck in there, he made the clearance, all the mistakes that he's made. But that one incident, that one moment could turn it all round. He's still trailing, but only 2-1. Often left the free ball, but inside it'll be raging, I'm sure.
Frame 4, Kyren Wilson to play.
2-1, Wilson will feel it should have been 3-0. He'd played well for 3 frames, but extraordinary way to lose that third one. Funny enough, I thought Xiao Guodong, the best he's looked so far today was playing for snookers. He wasn't sort of doing it through obligation, but even he must have been surprised how the chance came.
Yeah, because people often say, well, you know, all this playing on for snookers and it's a waste of time. And well, sometimes it does appear that way, but you get frames like that and you realise, if you didn't already know, why players do carry on. And now he's got sort of renewed hope, I think, because he hadn't really played all that well.
1.
He'd left a few chances. But you can see something like that change a match. And I'm not saying it will, but it could be. We've seen it all before.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the match with Guodong last year. I mean, I'd kind of been a bit coy about what happened. Basically, Wilson looked set to win, and he was miles in front in the last frame. Guodong attempted thin safety, missed the reds completely, but caught them on the way back. The cue ball caught the knuckle of the middle pocket, and it came in right tight behind the blue. I mean, you couldn't make it up, really. And Wilson got down pretty quickly to play the escape. To be fair to his opponent, he made a very, very good clearance after that. But it was just bizarre how that happened, and maybe he's got a few flashbacks.
Yeah, I saw that too, and at the time we didn't realise Guodong was quite as good as he is, because we hadn't seen much of him, I don't think. But it was an eye-catching win. Sometimes people just see the result, you think, well, that's a bad result, but the finer points are sometimes lost if you haven't watched the match, but it's not dissimilar to what we've just seen, really. But the score is what it is, 2-1, and it really should have been 3-0. As long as you can put that behind you, then it's all good. I think the best player I've ever seen at just putting something like that behind them is Mark Williams. No. He always says, well, you know, you're going to win frames out of the blue and you're going to lose them. You just get on with the game, and he seems to be able to do it, but other players, they just backtrack all the time to a moment, and it takes them a long time to recover from that.
It's true, there was one occasion, though, and it was here in China, when he didn't do that, with the Mark Selby hit and hope, and that did affect him. He was 9-7 up, wasn't he, in the final, lost 10-9. So even Mark at that point felt it.
It's a very aggressive split, and he played it nicely.
Well, suddenly he's just feeling better, isn't he? And he saw that from that last very aggressive split.
Yeah, it could have worked out better. This is not an easy continuation shot.
Got it, though, so Xiao Guodong, from a position where he looked certain to be 3-0 down, and let's be honest, at that point, probably going to be heavily beaten here today. He's got his teeth into this match. It's amazing how just one shot can turn a match. We'll see in due course whether he wins it or not, but if he does, that's obviously where it began in that last frame, what happened there.
Yeah, they're awkward, but you can see a red underneath you. And you grip the cue with, you can push a ball up the table, actually. I've seen that done with your back arm, and sometimes it goes further than the ball you're trying to hit.
24.
Anyway, he negotiated it well enough. difficult table. I mean, it was a very good split, but the reds went everywhere, basically, and some of them in each other's way. Don't know if the black will go to the right corner. That would be interesting if it did. Well, I think it must go. It looks tight, but it seems to pass.
It is to Barry Hawkins at the interval with Stan Moody. Moody won the first. Hawkins, though, you know, I mean, it's become a cliche, under the radar. It just means he's not on the main table, but he always seems to kind of be here. You get down to the last 16 quarterfinals, there he is, popping up.
He's a great pro, isn't he, Barry Hawkins? You know, he does all the right things, always looks immaculate. Nice guy to talk to, but on the table he's pretty ruthless.
Yes, and also pretty ruthless today. Long Zhihang, who's 4-0 up now against Jackson Page.
40.
It's 2-2, Ali Carter, Marco Fu. Carter had a 107, and Fu, I believe, has just had a 139. Scores don't necessarily update as quickly as they should, but we'll let you know there. I think he had a 139, Marco. It's good to see him playing well again. He's had a lot of problems, of course, with his eyesight. Yeah, to confirm, Marco Fu 139. Now, the high break in the tournament, 49. As of yesterday, was 139, He Guo Chang. Wu Yiza had one earlier, now Marco Fu's had one.
Get the feeling it won't survive, especially having seen that black just go in there from Xiao Guodong off the jaw, which didn't look close. I suspect
56.
Something 1-4-3 or plus might even get this. Could we see another 1-4-7 this week? I think that's not out of the question either.
$57.
Well, he's just flicked that red and he's out of position. He just needs another red.
64.
And we know from the last frame, these frames are never quite done till they're done, even though he's got safe balls in terms of being on cushions. He wanted to get on that next red, so not quite over the line.
Xiao Guodong, 64.
Well, this would be a good frame to win for Kyren Wilson on the back of the last frame, which he somehow lost. Difficulty that Kyren's got here is that if he pots this long red, he has to be on something high value. Can't just pot it and play on a bulk colour. Does he want to get snookers again, which clearly he'd prefer not to do. I always think there were awkward decisions, these, because if you pot it, it might end up losing you the frame if you don't get on the colour. sure he was all that confident about potting it and getting on the colour there. Will's fallen off a little bit, hasn't it? He looked like he was going so well. Yes, the worst it could be is 2-2 at the interval, but it's certainly a changing landscape, this match. But this frame not won yet by Xiao Guodong.
I think what makes it fascinating, though, is how badly, let's be honest, Xiao was playing early on. He making a lot of errors, setting up chances. Wilson was looking really confident. But that's, you know, first 3 frames, it's a 9-frame match. This is what Wilson can see from his end of the table.
It's quite a dangerous shot to play that red, but he didn't want to take the red away from the left cushion, I think that's the reason. This is the same scenario as previously, isn't it? If he pots the red and it ends up in bulk, then effectively he's needing a snooker if he can't get on a high-value colour. He's got very few points to play with, put it that way, on which colours he takes with the reds. So interesting shot here. What's he playing? He's certainly going to get this red out into play. So it's a difficult safety shot if he's playing it. Red's tight on the cushion. Yeah, just trying to drop it over there. That's quite a nice shot. It's quite clever. Developing the red and getting the snooker, so the shot he played was very well thought out. A dangerous shot to play, goodness, that is quite a clumsy shot there from Xiao Guodong. Wow, now, that's a bold shot to play him. Didn't he play it well? Goodness, he's opened up everything and on the black. So are we going to see another turnaround? A bit early to say that, but I mean, he can win. It's not like he needs snookers. But that last shot is, after not a very good shot from Xiao again to leave the red over the pocket, made anything possible.
Eight. Nine.
When Xiao initially broke down one red from within the frame, they were all
16.
basically safe, but the table has been completely transformed.
17.
Very true. It seemed unlikely, but we're seeing things today that slightly unexpected in this match. Still got quite a lot to do, but it's happening before our very eyes.
24.
Well, they seem to be going in quite nicely down the cushion. It's one of the first things you look for. You know, red's below the black spot. Can you drop them in? Seemingly, yes. They can afford to take the blue,
32.
which would be I guess it's a good colour to play on, but maybe with the brown where it is, he would like the blue closer to the brown than on his own spot. And the angle is not great anyway to get onto the blue, so might have been part of his
33.
thinking. See, brown to blue from there is kind of achievable, I think. And you wouldn't have to force the brown in further down the line.
Forty.
Surprise to me that he played that shot. He's looking for the dream cannon, really, to chip it closer to a pocket and get out of there onto his next ball. So now he'll have to play the snooker behind the brown. So no clearance, but still very much in the frame the way it's worked out. He'd like to have cleared up there. Next best thing is what he's achieved.
Yeah, I mean, this could yet end up 3-1, but just not in the way maybe it should have done. I mean, it should have been 3-0, then it should have been 2-2. As it is, Xiao finds himself snookered here on the green.
Foul. Kyren Wilson.
Oh, it's a funny old business now, isn't it?
Is it a free ball potentially here?
Free ball.
It is a free ball. So, yeah, it seems to me that it's a question of the snooker gods. He played a clumsy shot and he's paying the full price. Xiao Guodong had everything right. He played a safety shot, left a red over the right corner. The point of being 64-0 up, 5 reds left, and this seems a while ago now. So what is he going to do with this free ball is the question. I mean, what he could do is pop the blue into the middle pocket and then play the snooker on the green behind the black. I think that's what he would be interested in doing.
Blue.
Yeah. It looks a cast iron snooker, I think, as long as he can stop the cue ball where the green is currently.
3.
Hard to think how it would not end up a snooker. The bump of the right middle pocket sometimes gets in the way.
Kyren Wilson. 3.
Now every time that Xiao Guodong comes to the table, he's in even more trouble.
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't know what's going to happen here, but You know, it's traditional to have a cup of tea at the interval and maybe send a therapist down to the dressing rooms after what's happened last 20 minutes or so. A real head-scratching snooker here.
I'm not sure. I think he probably did play it that way. Sometimes a 3-cushion escape is easier than a 1-cushion. And there's probably proof of that. Kyren certainly thought it was a good shot. Yeah, he couldn't get to separation of the two balls there, however he tried. But such is the way that Wilson's come back into the frame. It's not even that Xiao needs the green now. He will try and get in behind the pink here, which could certainly redress the balance in this frame if he gets the shot. It's been quite an eventful half an hour or so, isn't it? Towards the end of frame 3, and some pretty good snookers being laid here by both players.
Foul and miss. Xiao Guodong, 4.
Sort of Twilight Zone stuff, isn't it? All this. But that's why the game's so fascinating. It was a tournament last season, wasn't it? I think the World Open, where Kyren played Judd Trump, who managed to fluke the green and then the brown against him. It's all a test of this sort of metal.
I think people enjoy seeing frames like this where lots of snookers are required and a lot of skill in playing escapes. Not all about break building, is it? There's many ways to enjoy snooker. This has been an interesting frame.
Yeah, and it's not done yet. 19 points in it. 25 on the table. The idea when he was 40 behind with 35 on, so needing 2 snookers, Xiao Guodong 2-0 down. The idea it could be 2-2 at the interval seemed very fanciful.
Well, potting the green here, not that it's easy, would mean there's 22 in it, so he still would need more than just one more pot. Played it well, but again, he needs a little more. The moment Wilson can tie the frame, it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up a respot, based on what we're watching.
Meanwhile, Sean Murphy has levelled up 2 each with Nopp and Sengham. Murphy, we've been watching that. He's not looked particularly sort of happy at times, but anyway, got on with it, won the 4th frame.
Wilson will not mind that. That's worked out okay. He's still in there punching in this frame somehow.
Well, look at that. He's pushed the black safe. I mean, he's sort of nearly got a snooker, but the black going safe is a massive boost to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's virtually impossible to clear these now, isn't it? In one scoring visit, you'd say from brown to black. Nothing is impossible, but it takes some doing. I need this to slow down.
Jamie Clark was being outplayed by Wu Yizhi, who made 2 centuries in the first 2 frames, but Clark has come back to 2 each. Remember, the whole round, the whole last 32 being played today. So 8 more matches tonight, last 16 tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, he's just hoping that he can get something in open play, but clearly Xiao he's not going to get the pink or black out unless he's got absolutely no choice. Well, that's not bad. I'm sure he's completely covered the brown ball, maybe just about, but the pink's been just knocked slightly more so into play. It's all fractions. That's a good shot. That's very good. And will Kyren Wilson take a risk here and try and push the brown onto pink or black? It would be a huge risk to take, but he'd love to see one of those in open play. He can still tie the frame.
Well, didn't get the cue ball in behind the pink, so the brown and Wilson needing snookers. Oh, it's not there though.
Yeah, and he knows that Kyren Wilson is the kind of player to knock these in. As difficult as this is, if he can knock this in and get down for the blue, all of a sudden, he could take it to a respot. Tough shot, this. He's just so good at those shots, though, isn't he? There can't be anyone better around it. That's sort of a power shot. Very, very straight cueing. So, he's got renewed hope in this frame. Is he going to try and get the black out maybe off two cushions here? Well, he didn't try that. Might have been a bridge too far, but it's a kind of session so far where you wouldn't rule anything out from here.
Maybe the biggest shock of all is that he's missed with the rest. Strange sort of half an hour or so. So Xiao Guodong needs the pink for 2-2, which seems like a miracle where he was late on in frame 3, needing 2 snookers. Amazing. He dug in though, didn't he, in that third frame when he wasn't playing well, and Kyren Wilson will feel maybe like he's behind. I mean, it's 2-2, it's level, but and Xiao Guodong is right back in it.
Thank you.
Well, it looked for all the world like 3-0 earlier to Wilson, but lost that frame after leaving the free ball, giving away the 7-point foul. Xiao hung on to win frame 4, so 2-2 as the match resumes. Just to say, by the way, because the winner will play Barry Hawkins or Stan Moody. It was 3-1 to Hawkins at the interval. Moody has come back very strongly, and he's just about to make it 3-3. He's on a break of 89 in frame 6.
Foul. And miss. Xiao Guodong 4.
Nice opener. So, crucially in first, I would say. You know, if you could get in front, it would be a whole different dynamic to this match. He's been chasing these frames from 2-0 down and a long way behind, as we know. 2 snookers required in frame 3, as we've said. Got that frame 1. Somehow won frame 4 after a battle, and now in first here. So we are seeing a turnaround. Let's be honest, it'll only become one if you can get this frame 1, and Kyren is staring down the barrel a little bit at that point. That'll do.
17.
Yeah, he's got the angle here for sure to run the cue ball into the bottom of the bunch. Although he looks like he's going to stun this into them. It's almost the red at the bottom. He's going to push into the pack. Oh, that looks a terrific split. That is an excellent split. I know the pinks disappeared up the table, but the reds are beautifully placed now.
24.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be said early on in the match. He didn't look confident. He was making various errors. He was being outplayed. Complete change around now. Just in just the way he looks. And, of course, that's reflected now in how he's playing. Never beaten Wilson. Worth reiterating that. 7-0 to Wilson on the head-to-head coming in. So he's had a lot of setbacks, a lot of disappointments playing Kyren, even before he's world champion. Maybe this is the day it all changes. Meanwhile, Sean Murphy looking to complete a century. So again, as I said earlier, Murphy wasn't looking sort of chipper, but his mood changing, it seems, with this century in frame 5. That's his 21st of the season. He's racking them up. He only made 32 the whole of last season.
Xiao Guodong.
What a miss. What a miss that was. Goodness. He didn't seem to be in any danger, and he's missed an absolute sitter there. Red to middle. He played it gently. You'd have thought it would have just dropped in. I don't think Kyren Wilson expected to be quite as back at the table quite as quickly as he turned out to be. He can't believe he's missed it.
Six. 7.
It's a bit of a seesaw battle, this one, isn't it? When you think someone's getting the upper hand, something happens. That red that Guodong missed to middle. We won't miss many easier balls than that, I don't think, in this season, than the one he's missed there. Handed something right back to his opponent, the world champion.
15.
Yeah, and this is where attitude comes in. You know, it's all very well feeling good when things are going your way. They've gone against Wilson the last couple of frames, but he's just got to soldier on. And he's the sort of character who would certainly do that. You can't win the World Championship without having setbacks over the 17 days. He wasn't all plain sailing. He had to dig himself out the odd hole here and there, not least on the last night, actually, as Jack Jones started to close the gap.
23.
Did play very well in the first 3 frames, actually. I know he lost the 3rd frame, but he was going well until that all happened.
Third. 31.
Oh dear. Oh.
Kyren Wilson.
Oh, well, that's a concern because he felt that he hadn't done a great deal wrong, apart from that escape from the snooker, to be at 2-2, but missing a black off the spot like that, and that is a worry, I think. We're not seeing a lot of blacks off the spot missed, but that one was hit all wrongly. So I think we can now say that
One.
the world champion is not in trouble. I mean, it's match is 2-2. He hasn't not lost his frame, but he's looking more vulnerable now than he did at the start of the match. And it's just now a question of whether Xiao Guodong can capitalise on that. He can do so here because he's 13 in front,
8.
and the Reds in open play would be enough, the four of them, to take him in front.
Nine.
Played that nicely because he always had the red to middle as his backup ball, but he'd like to play on these two reds first. Well, they both missed an easy ball this frame. I don't know which one was easier. I thought the red to middle of Guodong's was simple, and then the black off the spot, which Kyren missed, came out of nowhere as well.
$24.
So won't need the red on the cushion with the 29-point lead he's got.
25.
That's to get to snookers required. We know snookers can be got, or at least the penalty points can be. But he's a heavy favourite now to go in front. Just checking the scores. The red is frame ball, but wants the extra points as well from the next colour.
$31.
Concerning times for him. He was in control of this match. One shot really has turned it. When he caught that black, left the free ball. At that point, remember, he was in a position where Xiao needed 2 snookers.
$36.
Now he needs 2 in this frame.
Xiao Guodong. 36.
Yes, and of course he'll be not giving up the frame because A, he lost one like this earlier, and B, the balls are really nicely placed. The bulk colours are great for getting snookers the way they're grouped up together. And you're seeing that from the shots that Guodong is playing, trying to get one as well. I don't know if he's got the snooker. Just about. Little swerve.
Well, again, Wilson, the man needing snookers in one. just feels like it's Xiao in control of this exchange right now. That's the problem. Wilson obviously needs to change that to stand any chance. Barry Hawkins is going to be 4-3 up on Stan Moody's on a break in 90. Hawkins in that frame, still plenty on, so it's been, from what we've seen, just watching the score, in a really good game.
That's a good shot. I like this one, unless the red's in. Wow, that's ruined it, hasn't it? Now he's going to have to pot the black, or else the frame is gone. It was looking good, wasn't it, until the red dropped?
Well, you wonder, has he walked under a ladder at some point? I mean, things are just going wrong for him, aren't they?
Well, we talk about one shot turning a match, and it seems at the moment it's turned it in one direction. That's a good shot to keep his hopes alive, but of course he didn't want to be potting the last red out under any circumstances. It's 2 snookers to tie. But you're right, things have taken a turn for the worst, haven't they, for Kyren Wilson this match?
Kyren Wilson.
Even that shot was quite well played without getting the desired result, and I think quite rare that Kyren shows any emotion, but his head was bowed there.
Yeah, I mean, it must be frustrating. But also worrying, because Xiao is starting to play well. That's the other side of it. In goes the yellow, and it's surely his frame.
2.
So, having looked certain to go 3-0 down, he's going to be 3-2 up. Wilson did have a chance in this frame, didn't he? But it went wrong, and, well, he's not giving it up yet. 35 in it. He needs 3 snookers now.
Kyren Wilson. 3.
Where the pink is, I think that's the reason he did carry on with the green over the pocket, which he was going to pot Kyren. The pink's in a great place to get snookers, although, as we were saying, he needs many of them. Three. Snookers is what he needs. 2 if he took it down to blue, pink and black. 2 to tie. 5-point penalties. I mean, it seems really as if it's not going to happen, but as I say, we've already seen it once in this match. 2 snookers in frame 3 for Xiao Guodong, which he got. Won the frame. Turned the match around.
Just on Barry Hawkins, a 1-3-2 from him to lead 4-3 against Stan Moody. The respective winners will play each other in the last 16 tomorrow. (4-2) Ali Carter over Marco Fu. you feel it's his frame, but we have seen things happening already in this position. Obviously, Wilson trying to get a really good snooker. Xiao Guodong's got to mind his work, not leave free balls. What you must never do is sort of just start whacking the balls around, because anything can go in that scenario.
Kind of feel that the match has just come to a standstill a little bit. Hard to think he'll get the snookers. Pink's now absolutely no good for getting snookers either where it's placed. And that's frame over. That will be end of frame. Kyren Wilson, he's not going to be coming back to the table to play him further part in this frame.
Yeah,
it's concerning now. He did have the chance in this frame, but maybe, and understandably, a bit unsettled with what's happened. So Xiao Guodong has moved in front, and the world champion, he's only a frame behind, but it's a bit of a challenge now to turn this around.
From 6.
So Wilson,
Kyren Wilson.
of course, by no means out of this, but it's a little challenge right now just to get back to where he was earlier in the match when he was looking good. He made 360 breaks. But in that last frame, he had the chance and broke down pretty quickly.
Yes, an early in potentially here as well with this red to middle. Cue ball just coming down towards the left side of the bunch, or maybe just to escaping that. Yeah, this was off the side of the bunch, and that was well played, because while he's not on the black, he's on the pink to middle. It is a sort of a shot that you see played where they will try to just slide off the bunch, open the reds a bit, but get on to their colour on that shot. So this is quite an important stage. If he could get himself into a 2-frame lead, well, he's in first with a chance of doing it. Be interesting.
Yeah, this session's been going just over 2 hours, and all the matches now quite delicate stages. 3-3, it's just gone Wu Yize and Jamie Clark. It was 2-0 to Wu Yize, 3-2 to Clark. But Wu's won the 6th frame. Of course, Long Jihang's already won 5-0 against Jackson Page. Hawkins 4-3 over Stan Moody. Ben Wollaston 4-2 over Elliot Slesser. Dwayne Jones 4-1 up on Pang Zhongzhu. Ali Carter 4-2 over Marco Fu, but Fu well in front in the next frame.
Overscrewed. I think sometimes when you put the extension or something onto the cue, the weight of the cue means you overdo the shot a little bit. He overscrewed there. Extra weight on the cue, all these little technicalities which will bring the cue ball back a little further than you expect. played that nicely. Needs that cue ball to run. Yes. If he's on the red by the black, it's not bad.
13.
He's living slightly dangerously with a few of his shots. Yeah, it's quite dangerous to be trying to pop them off that bottom jaw.
21.
Because playing with any more pace, they would probably stay out. Saw Kyren Wilson miss a black in the previous frame to that part of the pocket, but that was hit with
22.
more speed. Now, is he worried that he's not on this? He's looking, a long, hard look there. It's not been called touching anyway, so that would suggest he might be on it. Yeah, I think he can get through there. I'm sure he can. If it had been touching ball, maybe it would have been tough. He's playing it with side, which means you can miss this. Might overdo it if he's not careful. I don't think he needed side on that. I'll tell you, he made a very quick decision to use left-hand side when I had the feeling he could have got to that plain ball. He nearly missed it as a consequence, and now he's low on the black.
Meanwhile, Marco Fu's made a second century of the day, so he's closed the gap to 4-3 against Ali Carter. Carter in front.
And the more I see of Marco Fu play these days, I think he seems to have made his mind up. He's just going to try and enjoy the matches, takes a swing at a few, plays quickly. Either wins or loses. You don't think he wants to be hanging around there too long in his matches these days. He plays with a pace I've never seen him play at before. He'll be really annoyed there. That's a poor shot. He knew what the shot was around two cushions. It's an absolute natural. Once the pot goes in, should hit it with more pace. And just found himself nowhere, really.
Xiao Guodong, 38.
Not really achieved much by playing that shot either. So he's in a strong position, but could have maybe done a little bit better there.
Just on the Barry Hawkins-Stan Moody match, 4-3 to Hawkins. Moody, though, is 36 in front on a break of 33 in the next. So, of course, he survived that decider with Ryan Day. Now playing another multi-ranking event winner and certainly holding his own. Can he force a decider? That's a good pot from Wilson. He's hoping it will be the start of something here. That's the thing, he's only actually one frame behind, but it's just the way it's sort of unfolded. It feels like he's in more serious trouble than that, but it's all about maybe this visit just to steady the ship a little.
Seven.
Yes, it certainly is an opportunity now to find a way back into this match. It's been slipping away horribly for him.
$13. 14.
So you feel this is quite a big moment, big passage of play, because if Kyren Wilson was not to go on and get this frame one from here, you would wonder whether he's going to win the match at all, as things have turned around. But it's in his own hands to sort of stop the rot here. That's not a very good shot. Wrong side of the blue, so his next red is at a little bit longer range than he would want to, and he might have to go into the four reds as well. Well, that's an interesting shot selection there. I thought he would play the blue, and he's certainly shaped up to do so, but playing the pink, a little bit more adventurous, but it still comes down to the same thing. That he's going to have to pop this, go into the four reds, find a way onto his colour. That's a great shot. That's a great shot. The two reds on the right will be something he's looked at. They've gone a little awkwardly placed.
Yeah, that was the only slight downside, but it's just a bit of spring in his step again, isn't there? As he senses a chance maybe to level up here and just take control again of this match.
Yeah, I mean, the spring will certainly come back into his step if he can get it won. I suppose the problem he's got is just the way this match has gone. Things have been happening on the colours, haven't they? But as we're saying, you know, it's in his hands. Looking at where those two reds are on the right, they could cause him a problem. The left-hand red, I think, will go past the other one. He'll certainly have his attentions drawn to where they're placed and how he's going to get on them.
$44.
The answer is he's not going to get on them. I thought that the top red went
51.
past the other one. Maybe it didn't. I didn't see him really have a good look down the line. Might have been a good idea to try and play on them, perhaps. Easy in hindsight once the cannon didn't work, I suppose.
51.
Don't say he's left the plant, has he? Has he left the plant? He came round at a quick look. I think he's very close. Not quite on. Yeah, he's not dead plant, but if the two reds are touching, he could sort of squeeze it into a plant. As we're looking, if he hits the right-hand side of the top red, it's almost one of these reverse plants which you can make. But it would depend a lot on whether the two reds are touching or not. And where he's aiming now, that's the side you'd want to hit. I know it looks the wrong side to be hitting. When the reds are touching, then it goes the other way to the one you'd expect. Let's see how this goes. He overdid it. He went too far to the other way. It reversed too much. So now a second bite at the cherry here. Kyren Wilson, red almost where it was placed earlier. Can he get in behind it? Well, not bad, but you'd like to have been directly behind it more so. Just
8.
slightly blind pocket on this shot. You should see him get it, but I've seen them missed as well. Ah.
9.
Well, not dissimilar to the shot that Guodong played. I think the snooker is probably the way it would go here. He's getting a bit hot under the collar, I think. He's trying to keep it all in, but I sense frustration that he's building. So what does he do? Run in behind the black? He doesn't want to play it, but it's probably the right shot. 22 in front.
Kyren Wilson, 9.
Well, I think the next few moments are going to be very, very crucial in the overall context of this match. If Xiao can escape here and somehow win this frame, then it's just a major challenge for Wilson. Little things just going wrong, even just not getting on the black there when it would have been basically end of frame. Anyway, he's got him in trouble.
Yes, and he's made good contact, so the frame lives on. You'd like to think that Kyren might get the advantage from this shot where the balls are. Possible snooker down the centre of the table. You always rely on those four colours, brown, blue, pink and black, to be helping you, and he's played it quite beautifully. Quite Selby-esque, I think. Mark Selby would have got the snookers, I'm sure. He still needs yellow and green, so roll the yellow in and the green at mid-range should get it. Kyren Wilson. Or he could play this with pace and just run the cue ball round to the green. So he's arrived at a frame ball, which, yes, he's using the rest, but yeah, everything we've seen makes you wonder that he could conceivably miss this. I wouldn't expect him to, but it's not out of the question the way things have gone today.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an ordeal, but if he does pot it, then looking good for 3-3. Wow.
Kyren Wilson.
There you go, as you were, you sort of called it, and it's just...
2.
And he's not in a comfortable place, is he, at the moment? No getting away from that.
Well, it'll take a lot to play this gently in the hole for the brown. It's a difficult shot to get right against the nap of the cloth. You can miss these. Oh, he's played it really well. That's ever so well played. Very difficult shot to play. Doesn't want to be straight because the blue doesn't go to the right middle. But even then, he'd be more than pleased with the shot he's played.
So another huge moment in the match as Xiao Guodong looks to strike an even more decisive blow, you feel, than the ones he's already struck. If you're just joining us, in frame 3 you needed 2 snookers on the yellow, but Kyren Wilson hit the black, left a free ball. At that stage, he was playing really good stuff. Xiao was struggling. Needs this to bounce.
Played it well, hasn't he? Because the black's not on its spot. It can easily end up on the cushion. And, well, it couldn't end up better on the black than where he's finished.
Yeah, so the black for 4-2. What a turnaround. And another dramatic frame. And it's been won by Xiao Guodong. Incredible. Kyren Wilson... He potted the last red, just failed to get on the black, didn't he? Laid the snooker, but Xiao escaped it. And now, after Wilson missed the green with the rest, Xiao Guodong has gone 2 frames clear, 1 away from victory.
From 7, Xiao Guodong to break.
So, Xiao Guodong has somehow dug himself out of a hole. He looks certain to go 3-0 down, but in fact he leads 4-2. Pressure on the shoulders of Kyren Wilson. The worry for him was that he had the chance there on the green, didn't he, with the rest. He's usually, and it's been said a lot of times, but reliable with that equipment, but he missed it. He lost the frame. He's going to have to win the last 3. We've had 1 result so far. Long Jihang beat Jackson Page 5-0. What's significant about that? Long is actually from Wuhan. So he had his family here. Great for them to see him in his home city, and they will see him again in the last 16.
A nice red to start with, but again, just the wrong position on his colour. Well, he might be able to cut this in. There must be a little bit of anxiety in Kyren here because it's an oddity the way this match has worked out. The fact that he's behind like this. But he'll keep doing what he does. Although the kisses and the nudges are not really happening for him. That could have worked out a lot better.
5.
Wow, he absolutely slashed at that one.
Kyren Wilson, 5.
So there was frustration evident in that shot, that is for certain.
1.
Well, he must have tried to hold somehow and land on the blue. As you can see, the black is not available to him. I don't quite know exactly how he was looking to play that, but anyway,
1.
Wilson not punished for that error.
Well, Ali Carter has completed victory over Marco Fu, 5-3. It looked a good match that. There were 3 centuries in it. Fu had 2, but Carter's won the 8th frame pretty easily. So 5-3 to him, and he's waiting for Murphy or Sengham.
Not a good shot from Kyren Wilson again to leave this red on. So, attention creeping in, I think, on both sides here. Now the chance to get the match won brings about a different sort of pressure for Xiao Guodong.
Yeah, has Wilson now got rid of his frustration? Can he just calm and focus here?
1.
Something about this tournament I mentioned last year in qualifying what happened with her, Guo Chang, all sorts of strange things have happened today. But the match isn't over yet. Just on the Moody Hawkins match, because the winner will play. Whoever comes through this, 4-3 to Barry Hawkins, and very tight frame. They're on the green, 5 points in it. Hawkins in front in frame 8. Sengham has pulled one back against Murphy, so 4-3 to Sean Murphy on table 2.
Seven. Thirteen. 14.
Well, he's opened this up now quite a bit, this frame. Taking a couple of the reds away that were maybe making this pink from its spot quite difficult. The rot has to be stopped here because it, without going back on it too much, and we have done, but if you didn't see it earlier on, it looked for all the world he was going to go 3-0 up, and now he finds himself 4-2 down. That's the frame with 2 snookers required.
21.
And he hasn't won a frame since, so he really needs this one. Might just get him restarted if he can, because he's been frustrated.
27.
What we can say now is whoever wins will play Barry Hawkins in the last 16. He's beaten Stan Moody 5-3, close last frame.
28.
So Moody's not won that match, but I think he's impressed again this week. Hawkins, though, business-like as ever, will be awaiting whoever comes through here.
$34. 35. $40.
Interesting shot in the end. After all that working out, he's didn't mean to leave himself on this red with the rest. I know he's a good rest player. He don't really want to be playing this. Because he is a good rest player, it almost went unnoticed. But the shot he played
41.
on his previous colour was a really poor one to finish where he did. So the cue ball once again is not exactly on a very tight leash in this break,
46.
but he's still potting balls. Well, that was a good positional shot to finish
47.
on the pink to the left corner.
Well, the Xi'an Grand Prix, I mean, I mentioned earlier he beat O'Sullivan and Trump last 2 rounds. He also, along the way, had to beat Jimmy Robertson from 4-2 down in the last 16. So, you know, he dug himself out of that hole. This has been a different sort of match the way it's progressed, but it's surely going to be his frame now. This pink to lead by 64 with 59 on. So we're back to that 2 snookers required stage, but he's on the next red. So surely it's going to be 4-3.
60. $61.
Xiao Guodong had a chance, didn't he? But maybe he's now, the fact he's 4-2 up, just starting to feel it a bit. Sensing what would be obviously a great win over the world champion in a big tournament in his home country.
67. 68. $75.
Well, it looks a different game now, doesn't it? The frame is one, playing all these shots. I think just showing us that he's playing well. It's just that it's been a sticky old match for him so far. He's still in a position of he's on the brink, but this has been
83.
a very fluent break. The further down the line it's gone. Early on he lost the cue ball a few times, but
84.
he's got it under control now. A century will do him good if he makes it. Give him some confidence for what's left of this match.
$91.
Yeah, they really needed to really steady the ship. This was it, wasn't it? And the manner of winning the frame, just sending a message to everybody that he has cooled down and he still very much believes he can win the match. So Brown for the century. It's not been an enjoyable sort of 90 minutes or so until this visit for Kyren Wilson.
$105. $111.
Well, under the circumstances, it's been a terrific break. He needed that, didn't he, Kyren Wilson? After the match was starting to seriously drift away from him, he's right back in contention again with a possible 2 frames to play. So Xiao Guodong's lead has been reduced to 4-3. Century. 4-3 to Xiao Guodong. Yeah, clearance of 118. He needed that just to really, I think, for his own peace of mind, never mind the actual position in the match. Jamie Clark and Wu Yize has just gone 4-4.
A very clean pot, cue ball, not hitting anything, which in this case he would have liked. Green to middle, I wonder if he'll be interested in that. It would be quite an adventurous shot. He's got a match to win against the world champion here. It's going to be tough to do it. Close, but I'm afraid he's given a chance straight back to Kyren Wilson. Just making sure that the black and the red aren't covering the spot. Yeah, I think he'd like to get on the red above the black rather than the black take the black before the red. That's why he played up on to the blue there instead of staying down for the black ball. Now he can do it, so that was good thinking. Getting himself back into this match.
Seven. $14.
Just on that Wu Yize match with Jamie Clark, Wu Yize's actually had 3 centuries there. It's 4 each, so he's obviously played terrifically well, but hasn't won yet.
$22. $23.
Just looking at something to that left corner in the bunch of reds. Obviously he's playing on the bottom red, so it won't matter what he was looking at now because he'll be moving reds here and playing this shot. He's got to play this well. It's an element of unpredictability about where the balls will finish.
31.
Reds have sort of grouped up again, unexpectedly. So now if he pots the black, he might have to think about that red right down the table. So that's not worked out as he was hoping.
$38. $39.
Shot, and now he can disturb the 5 reds. I don't think he'll play into them with a lot of pace. He'll nudge them, and at worst, he'll be on that red up into the green pocket that's down that end of the table. Well, that's not really worked out well, so it is that red that he will have to play now if he wants to get this break alive. Didn't catch them as he was hoping to. It's a missable shot now because you've got the 4 reds in the bunch right by the side of your queuing. This really could go wrong. Ah, great shot. That's the best he's hit today. It was beautifully struck.
47.
Yeah, he's got it all back again. I think Kyren Wilson has got a really underrated quality that a lot of the great players have had, and that's a stubbornness to refuse to accept where the sort of narrative is heading. Talk about turning points. You could have more than one. He wasn't feeling great, clearly, and things were conspiring against him a little bit when he ended up 4-2 down. But since then, as I say, that bloody-mindedness, no, this is not going to be a disappointing defeat. I'm going to turn it round, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't think you can be world champion without that, because for 2.5 weeks it's not always going to be plain sailing. You know, there's going to be moments where your back's to the wall or things aren't going right, and you can turn it around. I know it's a smaller scale, this match, but you know, at 4-4, if it goes that way, you still wouldn't be certain he'll win, because there's been so many twists and turns. But he's not quite there yet. I think we're almost at that point after that last shot. That's terrific. Now this black and a further red, and we do arrive at a very likely decider.
Yes, and Xiao hasn't looked particularly comfortable in these 2 frames. Missed the green in this one, of course. It's all coming down to one last frame then, to see who takes on Barry Hawkins tomorrow in the last 16. Credit to Wilson, though, the way he's won these 2 frames. He's looked really determined and just banished whatever sort of bad feelings there were, put them to one side, got on with the task in hand.
$74.
And now little things are happening. He was on that plant, or could make it anyway, to middle. So chance for back-to-back centuries after everything we've seen. Been an eventful match, this.
It's been enjoyable. It's had everything, hasn't it? As you say, break building, and
82.
it's a few twists and turns of unexpected misses. Surprising decisions and fouls that were made.
83.
But we are going to end up taking it all the way, so it's going to be fun. I think Wilson's played, you know, in general, I have to say he's played the better snooker of the 2, but it doesn't count for anything in going into a decider.
88. 89.
Well, they've shown good strength of character, I think, here. Can't argue with back-to-back centuries, and that's what it'll be if he pots this black. Yeah, the warrior is what they call him, and he's shown those qualities here
103.
to set up a deciding frame finish. th century of the season for Kyren Wilson.
$108.
Well, he's missed that, but no matter, 118 and 108. The 2 breaks he's made in the last 2 frames, so from 4-2 down, he's emphatically got himself right back into it with just 1 frame to play. All on the last one, Kyren Wilson and Xiao Guodong 4-4, and the decider is coming up shortly. Jamie Clark. Here we go then, the decider, but Xiao Guodong breaks off having sat out 2 centuries. 118 and 108 from Kyren Wilson.
Yeah, I guess he'll be pinning his hopes in the fact that it's hard to go and do that in a decider on the back of the 2 previous, but his break-off shot was not one of his better ones. He's left a thin red to start. The last thing he needed was to leave an early chance. But he's weathered that one by seeing it missed. I just feel that Xiao Guodong has been something of a nearly man. For a good player that he is, he's sort of got a good position in the rankings, but he's not quite as threatening as he might be, and this would be a big win for him if he could achieve it. Now the cue ball is running out of control here in potting this red. Absolutely out of control, needs luck.
One.
If it bounced away from the cushion anymore, then he would have been okay, but he had no clue. I mean, he might have hit it a bit harder, actually. But then I suppose the pot becomes more difficult. He hasn't had too many pots to go at in the last couple of frames.
Another result, Wu Yize has beaten Jamie Clark 5-4. Wu Yize runner-up in the English Open. He made 3 centuries along the way, and he made a 69 break in the decider. So he's backing up that great run in Brentwood. He'll play either Jack Jones or Jack Lazowski. They're up later. Now, we seem to have stopped playing for some reason. Referee calling to somebody. Don't know whether there was... Anyway, we're going to continue. It's just a slight distraction, maybe.
Deary me, that was such a poor shot, and a bit of arm waving. I don't know what happened there. There was obviously something that put him off, but I don't think you can use that as an excuse because it was resolved. I mean, he got a double kiss, but it always seemed likely that there was a chance of that. Now, Xiao Guodong again. This is a proper chance now. I know that there were quite a few awkward reds around the black, but the pink will go back on its spot. Be available to the left corner in the right middle. This is an opportunity, having sat out 2 frames. And it's always good to be in first.
It would be something, wouldn't it, if he won? Because for long periods he's been outclassed. I mean, the last 2 frames, the early part of the match. But this is the key part of the match, the decider.
Well, that's not very nice. I mean, he's got a red with the spider or whatever into the right corner, or this red up into the green pocket, but I suspect he's feeling it. There's not so much free-flowing intent in his cue action. I think he's tensed up a bit. The winning line has come into view, and that can bring about pressures of its own. I mean, I can think of players over the years who it has not caused it to happen to. Stephen Hendry is the one that always springs to mind, the great Stephen Hendry. Tended to be, when he saw the winning line, he would go straight for it immediately. No backward steps. But for mere mortals like the rest of us, he's, you know, it brings about a different sort of pressure, doesn't it? Very good. Very good shot. And nicely on the blue. No need to play all around the angles. From blue to red, he's on one. From this, I should think, without any doubt.
Psychology of the game is so interesting. He was chasing the game, and that's when he seemed to feel his best. Then he was leading, and that's when he seemed to feel his worst. But now it's a straight fight for the line. It's all on this frame. Maybe that just cleared his mind. Everyone is made differently. I mean, Stephen Hendry, it's almost like he sort of just decided he was going to be the best player. You know, he didn't start playing until he was 12. He turned pro when he was 16, and he was world champion when he was 21. But not everyone is made of that sort of toughness. Again, he's just left this a little awkward.
Yes, as a consequence now, he's not quite right on the blue. And in fact, it's a really awkward little shot, this one, because it's almost better to be further away from it, I think. He's got to pop this and obviously avoid hitting a bolt colour. Naturally taking him down the right side. He's playing it with Ryan's side. Goodness me, ball just creeping in, hitting the jaw. He's got himself out of position quite swiftly.
19.
He's under it, isn't he? You can sense it, and I understand why. Wins like this are not coming all the time for Xiao Guodong.
Yeah, I mean, his pulse will be racing just the way this break is slightly unravelled, but at least the ball's, for now, is still going in. Well, they were. Took a long time over that shot, but not to be now. Has he left anything?
There could be one red, I think, that might go. 3 down from the pink. But he hasn't left a lot. Wouldn't be an easy starter. I suspect there might be nerves on both sides here. Big event this. And, well, Kyren is faced with a different red, and the cue ball possibly hitting other balls on the way through to whatever colour if he gets it. Well, he's missed them all. That's good. That's changed things a little bit. Good shot.
Well, we'll see what transpires in the next few minutes, but Wilson has a chance here to extend the head-to-head to 8-0 against Xiao Guodong.
Yes, and that might well be another factor, mightn't it? Just the overall head-to-heads, the fact that he's never beaten him. Never beaten Wilson. This is a best ever chance to do so.
Well, you mentioned Hendry. I mean, he's beginning to annoy me territory, isn't it?
Oh, that was never in, though. Goodness me.
Kyren Wesson, 3.
That was never in, so he might have made back-to-back centuries, but the fact is, it counts for nothing in a decider. Well, I mean, he didn't play all that well. I mean, the other red that he got the plant with just careered all round the angles and disturbed everything. He's on the pink, not badly, but could have been even easier than this. This is a wonderful opportunity. It's very tight as to whether the pink will go on its own spot. I think he'd love it to go on the black spot because it would free up that area of the table. And it looks from that marker that it will spot. It's an important decision, though. It helps a lot if it's out in the open, the pink ball.
7.
Well, it's nervy, it's a decider, but also there's only one other match on, so there's a real hush in the arena. You're not hearing all the other sort of action going on in the background. It's intensifying the pressure on these two.
8.13. 14.
Must be tight. He must believe that the pink is potable. The red looks quite close to being in the way of it. From that angle, it probably is in front of the red ball, so it goes. What a game snooker can be at times. What a game. I mean, that's the only place he could possibly finish down there that is now awkward. And that is the game playing tricks on you. It's a horrendous place to finish. It's just horrible cueing, isn't it? It's so close to the black ball there. I mean, he just wanted to get up the other end of the table there.
20.
Kyren Wilson will be pleased to have a chance. But I feel there might be a twist or two more left in this encounter, the way things have gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a match that was looking like 3-0, and probably after that, you know, 5-0, 5-1. But we've seen what's happened since, and, well, who knows what's going to happen next.
He doesn't think he can quite get to it, but playing it with left-hand side, almost bending it around the brown ball to try and pot the red. Giving it too much for the pot anyway.
Well, this is the only match on now because Dwayne Jones has beaten Pang Zhu 5-4. He was 4-1 up. Went 4 each, but he's won the decider.
One.
Cue ball again glued to that left cushion. Limits very much what he can do.
Yellow. Kyren Wilson. 1.
Had to be careful, obviously, not to push the yellow safe there. He's got the snooker. Reds all out in the open, so okay, 36 in front, but it's not going to mean much if he lets Wilson in here.
Certainly looking for a thinner contact than that, although the red has not gone to a potable place. I don't know what Kyren must be thinking about this match, but there must be somewhere in the back of his mind thinking it's not going to be his afternoon. He's going to have to pull out some good shots here. This is not easy. A real stretch. Problem is the yellow's right underneath his the arm which he grips the cue. Bit of a distraction. So one thing I'll never understand is why a player that's so good with the rest like Kyren goes out of his way not to use the rest on shots. Anyway, it's a very tense moment still. .36 points is a good lead, but the balls are not badly placed for the next person in, whoever that is. Because if it is Xiao Guodong, it might be that it gets him over the line. Doesn't like it. Not an easy way back to bulk. I mean, he could play the left-hand side of the red that's potable to the left corner, as opposed to trying to pot it and crash into the other edge. You could play the left side of it. But he'd have to get it right, that shot, and I think that's what he will end up playing. Overhit, it needs help, and he did get help.
feels really big for Xiao Guodong. I mean, if he were to win today, that result could really be a springboard for something special. The confidence of having beaten the world champion, making progress in a big tournament.
One.
Well, he won't be too worried that he's not on the colour very nicely, because he's got the points in hand here. He doesn't have to go for one either if he doesn't want to. He can put the ball safe. I don't know why he played that. I know he's in behind the
Guodong. One.
yellow. What did he play? Is the question. Did he play the pot it? Or did he play the snooker? Well, Kyren's probably asking the same question.
Well, you can't play both, can he? You either play to pot it or you play the snooker.
Well, exactly. It's one of those where, Kyren hopes that the pink went in, which I'm sure he went for the pink. He's not amused. I don't know what it is he's drinking. But it's working for him. I think it's an energy drink of some description. But you need as much energy as you can in these sort of matches. It's really tight. Kyren can't quite work out what's happening.
Well, he's 37 behind, so he knows this could be his last shot coming up if it goes wrong.
It's a horrible snooker, Dave, as well, to hit without leaving one.
Foul and miss.
That's the annoying thing, isn't it? How well did he play it? That was very quickly put back. Seemed there's a red that he might have taken on there.
Well, he certainly didn't have any time to actually look, did he? You can see, what the actual position was. He just had it put back.
I think I'd have got up and had a look round there, and certainly made Kyren, even if I did have them put back, maybe given him more time to think about the second attempt by getting up and having a look at the table. It looks like he's made an adjustment. I just wonder if that'll ever be a factor. I thought that there was definitely a cutback there that he might have played or considered at least. He didn't seem to look at it at all. He won't want to move the two reds on the left side because they're locked down a bit, and that suits him. Red to middle is almost a free shot, he feels. Well potted. Very well potted.
One.
It's also a very good shot. It's a nice positional shot played there. So, red-pink means there's 51 in it. And I think that's the way he has to go here. And then worry about whatever happens after that. Because he's in a very strong position. Again, I don't know if he'll want to move the two reds. He might feel he can afford to do that now. The other thing he could do is just drop on the bottom red and just roll it down the cushion and be done with it. So that's the kind of decision. But whatever happens, it's not really a headache for him, is it? Because he's got the luxury of knowing that 51 with the difference, and with that many on, at least it'll go to a respot unless there's any fouls. Yeah, well, you could have just dropped this in, I think. I think if I was Xiao Guodong, I'd be playing this fairly gently, taking my chances. What's the worst that can happen? Even if you leave it on. Red to black is not straightforward for Kyren. Match ball. It was never going to drop, was it? It was nowhere near, quite honestly. Nowhere near. So now Kyren he's got to find a way of getting on this black if he can.
One.
Well, might have to be black to middle, very acute angle. If he loses this match, I'm not sure he'll know quite how he's lost it. He was cruising at 2-0 up. That's a wonderful shot, my goodness me. He's still got a big problem because he's got to try and pot a red and get on the black.
8.
But again, as I say, if he loses this match, 2-0 up, lost a ridiculous frame really, and then back-to-back hundreds to take it to 4-all. So it'll be a tough one to take if it goes wrong. It's not quite gone wrong yet, though.
8.
No, this could still yet be a very dramatic finish because he's got himself 43 behind, 43 on. For long periods of the match, he's been the better player for sure.
And you know, if he'd have got in behind the brown there, he might have been thinking he could still win this frame without needing a respot.
Just the sense that, that things could happen yet. It's been that sort of contest. Frame 3, Xiao Guodong needed 2 snookers, but Wilson attempting a thin safety on the yellow, hit the black. And then left free ball clearance, and that was the start of his problems. But match isn't over yet.
They have to play the cue ball up towards the top right-hand pocket here and snooker him on the red in the centre of the table. That's what he's tried. That's probably all he could do.
I guess the key concern for Xiao is that there's nothing safe. There's no balls on cushions. So 2 reds, 2 blacks and the colours, it'd be a respot.
Just think that Kyren is trying to get that cue ball in behind the brown. The perfect shot puts Guodong in trouble here. Not quite. You can see what he was thinking. Now, is he going to have a dart at this for the match? just on straight, as you can see, a long way away, but I mean, it's nice to think you get a shot to get the match won, and this is going to be the shot. Well, immediately he was hoping that the black would go safe. I know the pink has, which helps, but the black going safe would have been even better, given that Kyren needs to pot it with both reds. That was a nervy one, but at least he took it on. I can't blame him. Again, trying to get in behind the brown here, I think. Looks pretty good to me. Now we've got a different game on our hands. That is a terrific shot. And he must hit a red, because otherwise, well, it doesn't even come down to Kyren Wilson only being able to tie the frame. Very good from Kyren Wilson, that last shot.
It just had the feeling, didn't it? It's been that sort of match. Great snooker from Wilson, so now he can win this frame, and it's going back.
Yeah, I mean, a miss was called correctly by the referee. I don't agree with the rule, because you're not getting an advantage by missing, but the rule was changed, and that's the way it is. So it's correctly administered, but I actually don't see why that would be a miss. But that's something for the rules committee. I don't see how any advantage was gained by Guodong there, but it was a correct call. Wish he could have done that first time. I'm sure that's how he feels.
Well, what he has got from that earlier attempted long red is when he pushed the pink safe, obviously inadvertent, but that is in his locker, I suppose, now.
Well, that's about all he can cling on to, isn't it, that pink being safe? There was lots of other things he could earlier. That big lead is being taken away from him. Kyren's a little straight on the black, which has annoyed him. And the other angle, but straight, he gets closer to the red. Now, there's an argument here. He goes in behind the brown again with the cue ball.
8.
He played it so well the previous time, he'd be happy to do so again. And there's a big target with the yellow and brown. He'd be disappointed if he can't get cover here behind one of those two balls.
Kyren Wilson. 8.
Gone too far across. They will be annoyed. Would have allowed him to retain the advantage had he been able to do that. Close. This is now a difficult red here. He potted a good red, the previous one, into that pocket. Not dissimilar sort of shot, really.
Well, this is now coming down to the wire. The pink is the ball, really, that's going to decide it, you feel.
Yeah, and the brown away from his spot, there's a big area to come out of bulk onto the yellow without anything in the way. So you're absolutely right, Dave. It comes down to that pink, which was put there accidentally by Guodong. I think there's still a possible further twist. It's been a very interesting match.
Eight.
Yeah, I'm sure in some ways Wilson can't believe he's still in it. You know, it looked like everything had conspired against him, but he's got this great will to win, that stubbornness I mentioned earlier.
11.
I mean, obviously he'd like to cannon the pink over the pocket, but, you know, as a right-hander, I'd fancy him, if he was right behind it, to knock it in down the cushion. That way, at least, you know, you're going to get a chance. The cannon is the perfect outcome, if it works out. So it's going to have to be off one cushion, either in behind the pink or more likely an attempt to push it out from where it is. Neither one thing nor the other. I think he had a little trace of right-hand check side on that, which is the reason he didn't get the cannon, and now what does he do? I don't think that was a very good decision. Quite a lot of room there to knock the pink out, but we are where we are. It is both.
Yeah, it's been a really entertaining watch. All sorts has been happening. We're down to the last two balls. Xiao needs the pink. Wilson needs pink and black.
Well, he's not taking it on. I don't blame him, but it might have been a way of getting it won without Xiao getting back to the table. It's a good shot, though. You can't argue with that shot. Well played. Guodong, really desperate to get over the line.
He's one of those, whoever doesn't win, it's going to be tough to take. Xiao was in control of this decider until Wilson snookered him behind the brown.
Well, there's one thing playing a containing shot, but it might be that his next shot is from more trouble than he was already in. He's going to put distance between the two balls here. Might be able to try and hit it very thin on one occasion. There would be only... It really wouldn't change the equation that much if he did. That's a good shot, though. A shot that he played particularly well. Well, that is a terrific shot. Double, I think, was just beyond him, but that has put pressure on because, crucially, Kyren Wilson, 11 behind, cannot foul here. So that was potentially a match winner. And Kyren is just all out to hit this. I don't think he can worry about anything else. Very well controlled shot from Guodong.
Must hit it. But even if he does, if he leaves it, it should be over. Well, he's just glanced it.
Well, he has, and while he should get this, there's an awful lot riding on it, and nothing is easy. He wanted it to be hanging over the pocket, I think. That's where he'd really like it to be.
Yeah, or at least straight behind it, which he isn't. So, as you say, it's not guaranteed, but it is for victory. What a match it's been. Full of drama, full of incident, full of excitement. And Xiao Guodong is the winner. He's beaten the world champion, Kyren Wilson, who looked certain to lead 3-0. That's when things started to go wrong. He lost that frame after Xiao needed 2 snookers. He had back-to-back centuries from 4-2 down. Wilson very nearly got the job done.